got Dr. Moses Paul. He's a chairmanship candidate, African Democratic Congress for the forthcoming Abuja Municipal Area Council election. That's AMAC. Good morning. Thank you for coming in today.
I'm excited to be here.
So so you have emerged as the candidate, not just an aspirant now. Oh, for the ADC.
ADC, yes.
How's that going to play out? I mean, we know that the ADC is, we're not too sure what to expect, but you have the chairmanship candidature and you're confident about going through.
I'm winning the election.
Oh, how?
I've been on ground in the last 6 months, canvassing every village, every place here in the FCT, and I went to primary school here, and I own a PhD in environmental resource planning. I understand AMAC very much, probably more than anybody else, because in my first year, there's what we call the geography of the FCT. So it's a field of study. I was opportune to have Professor Ologie, who is an old man now, was one of the 7-man committee who situated the FCT here, lectured us. So in that course, we went physically to every part of the FCT. But that aside, I've been fixing primary schools and primary healthcare centers right here in the FCT in the past 5 years. In Lugbe here, in the next 2 weeks, I'm taking desks and chairs in Kapua here to primary school here. It was unbelievable. 40 years down the line, I went to primary school here, but children are sitting on the floor. In Lugbe, you can't even, traders can't move their goods. The rainy season will come and many places, people die literally because ambulances can't even take people across. The primary healthcare centers in AMAC are completely dead. I live here, I know the terrain, and I've been going around. So I care about the people. People can barely eat here. Bread is 2,000 naira. And you are wondering why the insecurity is rising. Uncles are dying here in the FCT. Who is caring about the security of the people? Pupils can't go to school. So these are the realities. Clean water, access to rural roads have become what? Luxury. AMAC does not exist right now in terms of performance or representation.
You know, one of the challenges and concerns that people usually have on this kind of matters, when candidates come up, yes, they have good plans, but at the end of the day, there's this concern that what kind of consideration have you given to this narrative or thought that possibly, with all your lofty ideas, you could just have somebody somewhere who could try to manipulate the system or the structure, quote unquote, and have whoever their candidate is to come in against you?
Are you saying that the will of the people do not matter? AMAC is not just a village. 60% of AMAC are people who understand the narrative of our conversation. They understand what we're talking about. If the big politicians, the big business people, people who are educated, who are the bulk of AMAC people, you know, listening to me right now, if they don't come out and vote and defend their vote and ensure that the institutions of the military, the police, the INEC do the right thing, are we going to continue like this? Chamberlain, I've been 20 countries around the world. I've lived in municipalities that are comparable to AMAC. From London to Paris to New York, everywhere. I know what it is to have clean water. I know what it is for children to go to school and come back safe. I know what it is to live in a good place. But I believe that I'm cursed because everywhere I go to, I have to return back home after 1 or 2 weeks. But this place, things have to change. This is the most important geographical space in Africa. This is the administrative headquarters of Nigeria. This is the symbol of Nigeria. The president lives here. The ministers are here. All the diaspora embassies are here. Yesterday I was speaking to the British envoy. I've sat down with the entire EU and I've asked them, this is home for you. So are we going to allow impunity to continue where somebody sits down behind a desk and writes results? In the only country that is capable of becoming superpower, this is what Nigeria is. This is no rhetorics. I'm a PhD in environmental resource planning. I know what this space is to people, and I've been helping young people constructing the narrative of shaping their orientation all these years. I'm saying that the time comes in the nation's timeline and history where things have to change. We can allow this brigandage of rigging and stealing of ballot boxes and allowing the will of the people not to continue, because I'm hearing you, and if that is the case, you're saying that somebody can just sit and look at the 1.8 million people in AMAC.
I'm asking, what strategy are you going to deploy to ensure that that doesn't happen? Because we've seen it happen before.
The young people are going to come out. I've lost a lot of weight because I've been in the villages in the last 6 months. I walk morning and night, raising the consciousness of the people. The people will come out. They will vote. They will defend their vote. I'm not just speaking rhetorics. I've been on ground in AMAC, practically from Powi to Gwagwa to Karshi to Jiwa to Gwarimpa. Not just the city center, not Gariki, not Kapua. I've been everywhere, and I can tell you the pulse of the people.
Would you say then that you've done that to the detriment of the city center itself? Because to be very honest, I live in Abuja. This is the first time I'm seeing you.
If you except you, I've led many protests here, including the last protest for over 23 days and all of that. I believe in grassroots. Maybe Google my name and see what pops out.
That's why I said, have you done that to the detriment of, because you said that a lot of people understand the narrative, and one would think that for AMAC in particular, I mean, Abuja has 6 districts, but I'm trying to remember what they're called, council areas.
Yes.
But AMAC is, the heart of the city of Abuja.
That's right.
And it has, a very, very strong elite population. I'm wondering where it is that you're finding room to engage that population to be more politically aware and not just to sit back and leave the decisions to be taken by just the people in the rural areas. They're important, certainly, but you want them to be able to get involved as well. Where are these platforms where these conversations are taking place and you're telling them what could be done differently?
The markets are there. I mean, AMAC is big. Do you know where Gui is? Do you know where Kabusa is? Do you know where Karshi is? Do you know where Orozo is? Do you know where Karo is? AMAC is not just city center, it's not just Garki, it's not just Gwarimpa. There is Jiwa, there's Gwagwa. So when people even sit and put a lot of concentration on the minister, it's because AMAC in itself does not exist. AMAC constitutionally tends to primary school, primary healthcare center.
Yeah.
When you talk about the tenement rate, you talk about the things that affect people directly.
It's interesting.
So what I'm saying is that the city center, yes, that's where the big buildings and stuff are, but there are 12 wards and they're all AMAC. So sometimes when people talk about AMAC, they're just talking about maybe 2 or 3 places, but there are 12 big wards that exist. So you could have been in Gwarimpa alone is bigger than Abaji out of the 6, because that's how big AMAC is. I and you could be here for 20 years and not have met ourselves. That's how big.
Well, it's elections, and people will say that your publicity has to be such that you're in everybody's face. But to, an issue right now, you just mentioned, that's why everybody looks at the FCT.
But Marco, you're right. Local elections usually, and I can give you, so that the narrative of conversation, like you have over 800,000 registered voters in AMAC. AMAC sits 1.8 million people. But it will amaze you that in the last chairmanship election, the chairman came in with 19,300.
Because people are usually
it's considered a local election. And so whatever you do, and people are really generally not interested. But this is more important than the presidential election.
Indeed.
Because it affects and impacts people's life directly.
You just mentioned the FCT minister, and he might disagree with you because as far as he is concerned, he believes that they have been able to make so much inroads into the rural areas, into some of these places that you have mentioned in terms of roads, in terms of streetlights, in terms of the project that they're doing in primary schools, healthcare centers, etc. And he believes that even though he is a member of the PDP, at least he maintains that because of what he's done, on behalf of the president, that the APC will certainly take the day in the FCT.
And I can tell you here, and the news are out there, on 2 occasions, is some of the most embarrassing situation where the FCT minister looked at the chairman and said, stop naming roads that I'm building, go and build your own. Another occasion he said, I have been chairman over 2 decades or so ago, and he says to him that you can't even provide security vehicles for, right here. So, and this is where the people need to also understand. I'm not running to be the FCT chairman. The FCT minister. I'm running to be the AMAC chairman. And people confuse it, and This is where raising the consciousness of the people is very important. At ministerial level, at federal level, it is the big ideas, policies. At the implement. If the minister is fixing primary school in a country where things are working, he will go to jail, because the constitutionality, the implementation of fixing primary schools, providing motivation for the teachers, the sanitation, the clean water, that is within the jurisdictions of the AMAC chairman. The AMAC chairman is one responsible for primary healthcare centers. He's responsible for waste management. He's responsible for clean water, sanitations. These things that impact our lives. The markets within AMAC. If the minister is doing that, then it's going beyond his bounds.
Well, the question I was trying to pose is that you don't think that what he's done so far, puts your party in jeopardy?
Because AMAC, in terms of what the responsibility of the chairman is concerned, does not exist, is completely zero.
Let me ask you, AMAC is famously notorious to some people, because I've been to different places and they always ask me, what are you going to do about this AMAC tout, always harassing us every left, right, and center? That must have come to you too. You must have seen it. What's your plan for that, if you win?
You see, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be converted from one form to another. AMAC does not even have a farm. My PhD, my master's thesis is on agriculture. I can literally move hundreds and thousands of these young people into, creative ventures. I mean, there is no initiative of ICT, of agriculture, of tourism. So what do you expect? They will smoke Igbo and stop you on the way, and touts are the one even harassing people in AMAC, the most important local council in the country. This is unacceptable. What I would do, I go to Atlanta. I've been bringing in medical equipment for some of our senators and people to distribute. What do you think I'll do as chairman? If you go to Tungan Nasara, the only twin toilet there in the early years school, I built it. 2 years ago, I fixed Tungan Madaki just by the airport. I fixed the primary healthcare center, and I've been doing this. So if I'm doing this at an individual basis, what do you think I would do as chairman, having the authority and some of the funds and the big interventions? Okay. AMAC has some of this. The entire diaspora embassy sits here in AMAC.
All right. This is, before the elections, we'll definitely revisit the matter and ensure that the political consciousness for the local level is ramped up as much as we can. We do thank you for coming on. Dr. Moses Paul, the chairmanship candidate of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, vying for AMAC chairmanship. All the best to you.
Thank you.